Joining me now is former Victorian Liberal Party President Michael Kroger and former Labor Minister Stephen Conroy, my favourite political panellist. Gentlemen, so good to see you after we had... Oh, look at Stephen Conroy. Look at Stephen Conroy.
Look at him. Look at him. Look at him getting on the bandwagon as usual.
Oh, getting on the bandwagon, seriously. I've been to 2 World Cup finals. You get on your own bandwagon. But look, I've got a message for you.
On whose coin?
I'm looking you down. I'm looking down the camera.
Stephen?
I'm looking down the camera, Albo. Albo, if we don't get a public holiday when we beat Argentina on Monday, to paraphrase from a former Prime Minister, the PM's a bum. Okay? Public holiday on Monday, Albo. You better be prepared to deliver.
You know the game's on Sunday, right?
Yeah, public holiday Monday. There's no point having a public holiday on a Sunday, is there?
Well, you know, they give out public holidays in Melbourne like candy, don't they, Michael Kroger?
We love it. We love him.
Albo is a football fanatic. He played with me in the parliamentary soccer team for most of the 20 years I was in Parliament. He understands. He's a true believer.
I thought he was into tennis. Well, there you go. He's into soccer, or football, should I call it, as well. What a brilliant performance. No chance against Argentina, if you ask me. But I hope they do win. They've done very well. Now, look, let's get on to politics then, even though I'll be distracted by Stephen the whole time. Things have really erupted in terms of this coal price cap idea. And we actually revealed this on Tuesday after an agenda. The federal government was leaving it to the state governments to cap the price of coal, saying, coal's your problem, we'll deal with the gas. That's my understanding. Michael Kroger, Anthony Albanese and Chris Bowen and co finding out this energy policy business isn't as easy as it looks?
Well, look, they fell into the trap that a lot of leaders fall into, and we've fallen into it some years ago, and we've fallen into it a few times, actually, which is when you get close to the election, mate, you almost say anything within reason to the, get close to the line of reason and, unreasonableness, to get yourself elected. And so this policy of the $275, which is going to be like a millstone around the neck of Labor, they would have had no serious idea of how to get there. The modelling would have been rubbery. And now in government, when you're actually dealing with day-to-day, the day-to-day energy crisis and the crisis of supply and price, you really find out how hard it is to govern. And they can criticise Angus Taylor and the previous government all they like. But the bottom line is an incredibly difficult issue. And yes, absolutely, Albo's now finding out how difficult the real world is, and just waving it away with the cost of a cheap energy by 2025 is coming back to haunt him big time.
All right, Stephen Conroy, they need to get moving on this, don't they? Should they compensate the states if they're going to introduce a coal price cap?
Yeah, what we're seeing here is your traditional haggle backwards and forwards, where the states want to take all the credit and not have to pony up any money. But here's a message to Dominic Perrottet. If you want to be the Premier that stops capping gas prices 3 months from your own election and energy prices, you are a brave man. So Humphrey Appleby would call you a courageous man. So keep haggling for a deal, but get behind this one, because you will get slaughtered in March.
All right, well, we've seen the passage of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, Michael Kroger. Do you think this body will be around in a decade, and how will it change federal politics?
It will be around in a decade, and it'll be around in a different form. It'll be tougher in 10 years' time than it is today, because the demands of the public for integrity amongst the behaviour of politicians grows louder and louder when they read about, excesses. And so this now won't go away. I think our regret, Andrew, the regret of many on our side is that, we should have introduced this years ago. We understand the concerns that politicians have about it, but, the public, we're governed by so many rules and regulations, and for the politicians to be governed by those rules, which basically say they have to act honestly, the average member of the public doesn't think that's a bad thing. In fact, they actually think it's quite a good thing. And so we should have passed this ages ago, and it's only going to get to a situation where rules become more and more strict as the years go on, and the conduct of politicians will become more and more transparent, such things as donations, diary disclosures, etc., etc. We're going to be in a much greater era of transparency, made in 10 years than we are even now.
All right, and very briefly, because we're almost out of time, Michael, who's going to be the Victorian Liberal leader?
Well, I don't know the answer to that, and even if I didn't know, I wouldn't tell you because
thanks so much. What are we paying you for?
Good point.
An informed panel.
Many years of experience have told me that organisational people should stay out of the leadership battles, and that's certainly what I'm doing down here. And I wish both John and Brad all the very best, and either of them would be a great choice for the party.